People disagree about all sorts of things all the time. We disagree about what movies are better and what to eat for dinner. In this video, we'll discuss the three kinds of disagreements in morality and how, if possible, to resolve each of them. The first kind of disagreement about morality is factual disagreement pertaining to a moral issue. This means that both sides of the issue disagree about the empirical facts of the matter. Consider this disagreement about death penalty. A proponent of death penalty argues that it is morally justified since it serves as a successful deterrent to potential criminals, while a critic of death penalty argues that it is not a successful deterrent. Clearly, this is a disagreement about a certain fact regarding the moral issue of death penalty, specifically whether death penalty deters crime. So how do we resolve this kind of disagreement? It is simply by discovering the relevant facts through careful and rigorous studies. If both sides of the debate eventually agree that a certain fact holds, for instance, that death penalty has significantly deterred crime, the disagreement will then be resolved. Of course, one side of the debate may question the validity of the study from which the supposed fact is based, or they may both advance empirical results that contradict each side's empirical findings. But these complications do not imply that such disagreements are in principle unresolvable. In fact, since one only needs to find the necessary and genuine facts, this kind of disagreement is in principle capable of being resolved. A second kind of moral disagreement is meaning disagreement pertaining to a moral issue, wherein both parties are discussing a certain moral issue and the debate centers around what is the correct meaning of a term. There are many debates in ethics that revolve around what the correct meaning of a particular term is. Terms such as justice, equality, love, to name a few. Consider the idea of marriage. For a long time, marriage has been long understood as a union between a man and a woman for the preservation and perpetuation of the nuclear family. However, many are now enamored by the idea that marriage can be between two persons regardless of their sex. The disagreement here is one of meaning. What does marriage really mean? Is the traditional understanding of marriage defensible, or should its meaning be expanded to include same-sex relationships? Now, each side may stick with their understanding of a term, in which case a resolution is unlikely to instantly take place. The most illuminating way to resolve this kind of disagreements is to identify the sufficient and necessary conditions of a concept like marriage that would be internally coherent, immune from counterexamples, and will be both rationally agreed upon by both parties. So while this kind of disagreement is difficult to resolve, there is a way out of such disagreements. Finally, the hardest kind of moral disagreement to resolve is value disagreements. Most of the disagreements of this kind agree with the relevant facts and meanings of terms that pertain to a certain moral issue. The problem, however, lies with each side having a set of values that is contrary to one another. Consider the ethical issue of eating animals. There is moral omnivorism on the one hand, which is a family of views defending the morality of eating animals. And there is moral veganism on the other, which is a family of views arguing for the moral indefensibility of animal eating. Consider, for instance, someone on the side of moral omnivorism, finding the taste of eating animals to be more valuable than the value of avoiding the harm animals experience for being killed for food. In fact, there is an article in the literature that has a line of argument to the effect that taste considerations should matter in the debate on whether or not we should eat animals. But that's another story. On the other hand, there are those on the side of moral veganism who find that avoiding the harm animals experience is more valuable than the mere pleasure of eating them. Both sides may find their set of values as reflective of what really matters, but it seems that they cannot both be right. In my cursory glance at the literature, I found no convincing and definitive way that has been discovered or invented by philosophers to settle this kind of dispute. I may be wrong, of course, so if you know anything, please let me know. In conclusion, disagreements about morality are some of the most intense and complicated disagreements one can encounter and engage in both the public sphere and in one's private life. But as we've seen, we need not surrender to the idea that there are no ways to settle our deepest moral disputes. And even if the dispute is about weighing our deepest values against the conflicting set of values of others, we can at least continue to explore and devise ways by which to rationally settle them.